welcome to our third episode of our podcast, AI Meets Mittelhessen. And we will talk today about explainable AI. We already spoke about different fields of AI research with our cooperation here with AI for Startups and Forschungscampus Mittelhessen. And today, my guest is Jennifer Hannig, Professor Dr. Jennifer Hannig from the Technische Hochschule Mittelhessen, the University of Applied Sciences.
Yes, thanks for
Um,
having me.
yeah, welcome to our podcast. And I'm really excited about our topic today because we already had some events with you with our project AI for Startups. We already had an evening event about the topic. Can we trust AI, which is probably one of the most pressing questions for you as well. But we can jump right into it, and maybe you can start with introducing your junior research group, Time AI, and your primary mission with it.
Yeah, in 2024, I received a funding from the Federal Ministry of Research, Technology and Space to establish an independent junior research group here at THM. And yeah, the name of the group is Time AI, which stands for Explainable Artificial Intelligence for Time Series Classification Tasks. And in addition, since last winter semester, I've been holding the professorship for artificial intelligence here at THM at the Friedberg campus and within the Department of Mathematics, Natural Science, and Data Processing. And yeah, the professorship is part of the Hessian Center of Artificial Intelligence, which connects AI research across Hesse. And yeah, the primary goal of the Uni Research Group Time AI is to make AI models for time series classification tasks more transparent and more understandable for human users. And yeah, especially in fields like medicine, in critical fields, it's important to understand why a certain decision has been made and not to have just a model with a high accuracy, for example. And here, the research area of explainable AI offers methods to make AI models more yeah, transparent and get insight into their decision process. But the problem is that most of these methods has been developed for computer vision tasks. And another problem is that these methods often produce different results for the same model and for the same input data. And so, a main point of our work in the Time XAI group is to systematically evaluate these methods for time series classification tasks.
Yeah, that's so exciting because you have so many research fields you have to jump in. We already spoke to your colleague, Professor Sanford, who already said that there's also so much issues with the medical application of AI models, and that's a field we're getting back in this podcast. But maybe for about your academic career, you started in bioinformatics at Goethe University. How did your research interest evolve from this biological systems to mathematical modeling and finally to the explainable AI?
Yes, so I started my academic journey in bioinformatics at Goethe University, and where I was working on mathematical models to model complex biological systems. And yeah, early on, I was fascinated by the idea of using mathematical model to describe and predict and simulate complex systems. And doing my doctoral research, I was working on a mathematical model which was in the Petri-net formalism to describe biological pathways and predict perturbation effects of wet lab experience. And the big advantage was that these models are highly transparent. But on the other side, they require a lot of manual effort in model development. And yeah, at the same time, I became more and more interested in data-driven approaches to model such systems at a larger scale. And then during my postdoc at THM in the research group of Professor Guckert, I worked on deep learning models for electrocardiogram analysis. And these models are really powerful, but they lack on transparency, so they are black box systems. And this is what naturally led me to the research field of explainable AI. And yeah, here we identified gaps, and this was the motivation for me to apply for funding for an independent research group. And yeah, this was also the start of the Timex AI group.
Yeah, that sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
And there's also another field which might influence your work because you're also a lecturer here at the THM, and for Studium Plus, it's a program as well here at the university. So maybe there's also some kind of interaction with students and those dual study program. Is there any influence you can see in this kind of work?
Yes, also teaching at THM and especially at Studium Plus highly influence how I think about AI applications. So Studium Plus is the dual study program, so the students are closely connected to industry and bring a very practical perspective into the classroom. And yeah, in my case, the connection to industry is even stronger because of my tandem professorship. So I work 50% at THM and doing yeah, research and teaching and heading the Timex AI group. And the other 50%, I work at the company Bender in Grünberg. And so I'm constantly seeing both sides, research and science. And yeah, at the same time, research in explainable AI can get quite theoretically, especially when it comes to evaluation of different explainable AI methods. And I would say here the input from the students and from the industry, yeah, helps me to keep a balance and ensures that our research is both yeah, scientifically sound and but also relevant in practice.
Yeah, that's a huge point. I studied myself at the THM, and I really liked always the combination between the practical application but also the theoretical questions. Because very often in those university contexts, you have a lot of theoretic overthinking, maybe sometimes, and in the practical application, there are always, are we probably need different approaches. So that's really interesting. And that brings me to the next questions about your current projects and your focus in research. Your group focuses specifically on this time series classification. Why is explaining AI decisions for these time-dependent data like ECGs or sensor streams more challenging than for static images?
Yeah, I think it's more challenging because of several reasons. So first, time series data is often multidimensional. So, for example, for the electrocardiogram, for the ECG, we have 12 different channels or 12 leads that all describe the electric activity of the heart from different perspectives. And yeah, relevant patterns for such a pathology can be contained in all of these 12 channels and over time. And another point is that the relevant patterns for a specific pathology can only be present in the frequency domain. So we have a time domain and we have a frequency domain. So this is another yeah, layer that makes the explanation more difficult. And also, yeah, the human aspect. So uh, images are, yeah, more inherently interpretable for us. So for us, it's easier to detect yeah, objects in an image than yeah, patterns in a time series. So time series are more abstract and yeah, for example, cardiologists are used to see these patterns in a time series, so they require a lot of domain knowledge to analyze them.
Mhm. Yeah, you already mentioned that there's a lot of different fields you're working in, like this cardiology. We already had the project with CS Medical, Cardio IQ. Is always trying to recognize these patterns in these images or in these ECGs. And it's not images; it's this flowing images like this. And Maybe you can also give us an insight on your work in all those diverse fields, because this cardiology is just one point. You also have research in smart homes, manufacturing. How do you adapt your models to work in these different environments?
Yeah, while we work in so different domains, our main focus is the explainability part. So in some of the project, the AI model already exists. So, for example, in the project Neuro, which stands for Explainable Artificial Intelligence for Neuropathology, um, the AI model is still available and classifies brain tumors. And our contribution in this project is to make these AI model more transparent and to add post-hoc explainable AI methods to it, and to highlight specific regions in these are images, but in highlight specific regions in the whole slide images which are correlated with a specific tumor type. And yeah, in other projects, we work on both, so on model development and also on the explainability part. And yeah, this is highly beneficial when because we can also apply explainable AI methods to improve the models and make the models more efficient in these cases.
Yeah, I always see these examples of handwriting, and there's always some visualization how the model works. I think that's so many different approaches, but so that's really interesting. But getting back to this medical field, it's a critical field as well. And often you can say that AI is a black box. It's exactly your domain of research to change that. Um, and there's also some kind of trust issue, especially between AI and patients, but also AI and doctors. I just saw some recent numbers that the AI without doctors is working better than with doctors, because they have these trust issues and they get these recommendations from AI, but they say, oh, no, I know it better. But the AI was right. So, how do you address these trust issues with your work?
Yeah, trust, especially in medicine, is really essential. And this is why we work so closely with our collaboration partners from the University Hospital Gießen-Marburg and from the Kerkhoff Clinic in Bad Nauheim. So our goal is to shed light into the decision process of these black box models, and thereby we can highlight relevant regions, so patterns in an image or time points in a time series. And if these patterns correlate with the or align with the expectation then the medical professionals have, then this helps the doctors to increase trust in these systems. And so our goal is not to replace the clinical expertise, but to support them with a tool for their decision making.
Yeah, that's getting to my next question already, because you already mentioned how you highlight those explainable AI. Um, is- Explainable AI is a popular buzzword, and I think a lot of different fields now recognize that they need some kind of explanation for how their models are working. And there are so many examples. I think the medical context is just one. So in practice, how does this explanation look like? You already mentioned that you can highlight patterns, but is there also another kind of visualization? Is there a text summary how they work, or do you have a mathematical proof? Maybe are there different approaches in this? Yeah, trying to highlight the explainability.
So in our work, the explanations are yeah mainly visual, but yeah, we also work with global explanations so that we get explanations not on a case level, but more on a global, holistic level for a specific pathology, for example. And in our current approaches, we also want to combine these visual explanations with more semantic textual informations to provide here more context to easier understand and interpret the results.
Yeah. just have to write it down. It's always so interesting for us as well. Is there also some kind of trade-off between the accuracy and the explainability? Like, do we have sometimes to sacrifice some level of performance of these models to understand the model itself?
Yeah, I think so. From my point of view, the trade-off between accuracy and explainability is to some part a miss. So it really depends on the task. There are applications where really simple models and that are inherently interpretable, such as decision trees, can have a really high accuracy. And currently, there's also a trend to overuse high complex models for tasks where a simpler model would be sufficient. And but on the other side, especially in the medical domain, a small improvement of accuracy can have a really high impact and can save lives in practice. So and deep learning models can often capture more information in the data and can thereby achieve a higher accuracy. And yeah, this is also where explainable AI comes in and can help to keep the high performing black box model, but still provide some insights how they come to their decision.
Yeah, maybe it also can increase the performance
Yes.
at some point, because you understand how the training works, and always have we also have these events, these workshops for introduction to AI for everyone, and we always have this example with training imagery with Google TensorFlow, and you have pictures from a dog and pictures from a cat, and yeah, we're always trying to understand what the model sees and what we see, because if you have the same kind of ears of both animals and they're still different, like cat and dogs, that's just a small example, but you have more pressing challenges, because you're not just comparing images, you're trying to save lives and make diagnosis with this medical application. So it's just a little excursion from our project.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the problem is also that sometimes the model learns the wrong things. And this is called shortcut learning or clever Hans effect, where the model learns in the training data superior correlations. For example, in images, they learn watermarks, which are not correlated to cats or dogs. And yeah, this can be easily unnoticed without explainable AI, and explainable AI can help to uncover such issues and improve the models.
Yeah, also on X-ray scans, maybe some handwriting. This
Of
could
course,
also
yes.
be some kind of data that shouldn't be recognized in this model. So, yeah, that's a challenge as well. Yeah. Getting back to another question, you are a member of the committee for a good scientific practice, and do you see explainable AI as a necessary requirement for scientific integrity in the future?
Yeah, I think in science, it's needed to understand and validate and critically assess results. And if we use AI black box systems without understanding why they achieve a specific performance, then it's difficult to detect such errors or biases. And so yeah, I think if we want to publish models, then explainable AI should be also a relevant component for good scientific practice. So it's similar to that you split your data set into training, validation, and test set to make sure that your model can also be performed on unseen data.
Yeah. That's also, I think, one of the suppressing issues. And also, I'm always thinking about autonomous driving and all this question that comes with it about this jurisdiction, how do things work, who's responsible if something goes wrong, and also trying to make it as transparent as possible. So I think that's a key point for explainable AI as well. Yeah. Um, let's move ahead to all the ecosystem and the network you're working in. We already mentioned the Forschungscampus Mittelhessen, FCMH. And as a researcher here at this University of Applied Science, THM, you also have some experience with this network. So, how do you experience the collaboration between theoretical research and this practical application?
Yeah, I really like about my position at the University of Applied Sciences that our work is so inspired by practical applications, and yeah, there are a lot of also funding lines. Um, for example, from Löwe and Distral for professors for University of Applied Science to apply for funding with a collaboration partner from industry. And yeah, in my case, it's even stronger because I'm working part time by a company and by the company Bender in Grünberg. And the Bender is specialized for, um, it's an international company and it's specialized for electrical safety solutions. And so I see constantly both sides, the research side and the real application side.
You are also active in mentoring Hessen and the AI Crit. How important are these networks for women in AI and for connecting with the European research community?
Yeah, I think these networks are extremely important, especially yeah, also for building a strong connection within the research community, especially for women in AI. Yeah, programs like Mentoring Hessen provides an excellent support, especially for early career researchers. And I also experienced this personally. So I was a mentee in the two Mentoring Hessen programs, so in Pro Academia and Pro Career, Pro Professur. And now I also involved as a mentor in the program. So I think it's really important to yeah, support others in finding their own path in their academic career, and especially in, yeah, balancing um, academic career and, yeah, personal life, for example, like family. So for me, it was really important to see role models and to see that uh, it can work, that you have a professorship and have a family. And I think this is a very important part, especially in areas like AI, where women are still underrepresented.
Yeah, I think strong networks and role models are really important also for young researchers and women in the research. Brings me to the next part of our podcast, the peer-to-peer interaction, which is quite nice because we had two of your colleagues in these episodes before who also had some real insight on different kind of questions. And I brought you some questions from them to this podcast. So you can answer them now across the media. And yeah, one question was, do you think there will be another AI winter after all this hype with generative AI, with all this consumer-driven AI? Do you think there will be some point in the next years which everything is going down and the financing will be not as good as now? Yeah.
Yeah, so if we go 10 years back, I think my predictions would be completely wrong. So where we are, I'm where we am now. Um, yeah, I think an important point are the data availability in most of the projects, and this is a part that is often yeah, um, not considered in the yeah, wide impact,
Yeah.
I would say. So we will
Yeah.
see.
We didn't even speak about the question of data, which is crucial for AI research. But if you're trying to yeah, develop models, it's a really yeah, pressing question. And but if you have the models already, you still have to work with the data and understand the data and identify if there's good and bad data. Yeah, that's really interesting, and the availability and how the data will be yeah, separated. It's also, yeah, interesting, and we will see how it ends in the next years, because I think there's also the question, how will AI produce data itself
Yes.
to this whole market? Yeah. Um, Another question was about neuroscience. Do you think that if the AI outperforms this, do we still need to understand how the human brain works, or can we just go ahead without the neuroscience and do our AI research without all those topics about our human brain?
Okay. Okay, that's a very interesting question. So, um, yeah, I think, of course, neuroscience is a really important field and will be a really important field in the future. So, even if AI can outperform humans. So, yeah, in the current AI systems are yeah, really narrow. So um, they are specialized on specific tasks. So you can have an AI model that can play chess, for example, and another AI model that can yeah, classify electrocardiogram signals for a cardiologist. But this is different from what we call artificial general intelligence. And yeah, and I think, yeah, the current AI systems are far away from a general understanding like we humans have. So, and I even experienced this, yeah, in my everyday life. So, my second son is now 18 months old, and yeah, he's constantly, yeah, learning and adapting and exploring. And the interesting thing is also that he needs far less training data than the current AI models need. And so he's very efficient with this. So I think we can learn a lot about neuroscience, and neuroscience can be also very inspiring for new AI applications.
Yeah. I think I have the same opinion, because there's so many people always saying, "Oh yeah, AI is like the human brain,"
You
which is
know, yes.
definitely wrong. And we
Yes,
always have to tell the people, "Nah, there might be some similarities with the layers and the deep learning, but it's not at all. There's so many different things going on in our brain we still not understand."
yes,
And can maybe be of use in the future research for AI as well, but. Yeah, we're far away from this strong AI, Terminator AI,
yes.
as I always say. Yeah, and we will see how it develops. Yeah, maybe getting to the future outlook and to the end of the podcast, there's also some future questions which will be addressed, like in the legal part of everything, like the EU AI Act. Do you think that these high risk areas like medicine, there will be still those black box AIs possible, or will they be banned?
Yeah, in the EU EI Act, there's Article 14, where it's required that for high risk system, and most medical systems belongs to this category, um, require a human oversight. And I think here, explainable AI can be yeah, a key tool to provide such human oversights for these black box models, and thereby also ensures that the predictive performance is still good enough, and these systems can be deployed under these regulatory constraints in the medical setting.
Yeah. Yes, always something I say as well. Always, this human in the loop should be a minimum requirement for
Yes.
these high risk areas, but also I think for lower risk areas, automatizations, because AI is still doing mistakes, and we have to address this as well. But in the high risk areas, it's really important. Maybe one last question: how do you think? How do you anticipate that your research findings will push AI startups in the coming years? Because you can explain now of what they're doing.
Yes, yeah. So I hope that our research findings can help startups to build more yeah, reliable and safe AI systems. Yeah, for example, Also, our work on evaluation on explainable AI will hopefully help them to choose a appropriate method for time series classifications, and thereby also avoid misleading informations that could also be generated with explainable AI.
Yeah, a lot coming up the coming years, and we're looking forward to it. Yeah, we're already at the end of our podcast, but thank you so much for all those insights in this really important field of research. Yeah, this was the third episode of our podcast and our special cooperation, which now unfortunately ends. But we had so many different research fields in this podcast, so many insights about how artificial intelligence works, how it is already applied to different fields, and I think we gained a lot of insight that this area Mittelhessen is really important for AI research, not only in Hesse but also in Germany and maybe also in this European field. So thank you very much for your time, and we see you next time with another episode of AI Meets Mittelhessen.